In the heart of West Africa, a revolution is unfolding, a story not written by foreign powers or dictated by outside judges, but carved in the soil and soul of Burkina Faso itself, where Ibrahim Traoré, a young captain-turned-leader, has risen, not out of personal ambition, but out of necessity, declaring before the world that his presidency is not the theft of power, but the restoration of sovereignty, a defiant stand against decades of exploitation, hypocrisy, and manipulation. When a court in distant America, with Judge Thomas draped in robes of supposed authority, sought to declare his mandate illegitimate, it was not Traoré who stood trial. It was the arrogance of foreign systems that presumed the right to define African destiny, and in that moment, the gavel that was meant to silence him instead struck the deepest chords of his people's spirit, igniting unity rather than division, courage rather than fear. Traoré did not emerge from the comfort of polished halls or through the blessing of foreign donors. He emerged from the battlefield, from the cries of farmers whose lands were stripped bare for uranium and gold, from the frustrations of youth watching their futures auctioned to foreign companies, from the pain of mothers burying their children. While foreign corporations prospered, and his rise is not merely political, it is historic, a continuation of the dream left behind by Thomas Sankara, a torch of defiance that refused to die. For too long, the wealth of Burkina Faso has fueled the lights of Paris, powered the reactors of Europe, and filled the pockets of foreign elites, while the villages of Ouagadougou, Bobo Dioulasso, and beyond remained in darkness, their schools underfunded, their hospitals collapsing, their children hungry, and every so-called democratic leader chosen before him had bowed politely to this silent theft, dressing it in the language of diplomacy, calling it partnership, while it was nothing but slavery rebranded. Traoré broke this cycle, unapologetically expelling the troops of France, closing the doors to neo-colonial puppeteers, and opening new doors of sovereignty by declaring that Burkina Faso would refine its own gold, keep the wealth of its soil within its borders, and stop exporting raw resources for the benefit of others, finally daring to imagine a future where jobs, dignity, and power stay with the people rather than leaving in cargo ships destined for foreign shores. They call him a coup maker. They brand him authoritarian. They whisper dictator. But what they fear is not his title. It is his courage. It is the possibility that his defiance could inspire a continent that Africans across borders may realize. They do not have to obey the old script. They do not have to wait quietly for aid or permission. That sovereignty is not given but seized, not granted but defended. And while critics abroad throw their accusations, in the streets of Burkina Faso, his people chant his name, not as idol worshippers, but as citizens tasting pride after generations of humiliation, because to them, Traoré is not just a leader. He is a shield against foreign greed, a voice that says what others dared not, a reminder that democracy, without independence, is an illusion, that constitutions written under foreign influence are cages, and that freedom is worth breaking every imposed rule. This is not the polite politics of compromise. This is the raw declaration of survival, the understanding that when a nation is on fire, you do not debate the flames, you grab water. You break windows, you shout, you fight, and that is exactly what Traoré has done, not as a manager of decline, but as an architect of renewal. He has told the world clearly that Burkina Faso will no longer be a playground for foreign militaries, a minefield for foreign companies, a chessboard for global powers. It will be a nation in control of its own destiny, however uncomfortable, that makes those who once profited from its weakness. His vision is not simply economic independence, but spiritual liberation. A future where young Burkinab no longer dream of escape to Europe, but of building at home. Where cotton is spun and sold with Burkinab hands. Where solar power and water resources illuminate their own cities, rather than feeding foreign grids. Where dignity is not imported, but grown from their own soil. And while international headlines obsess over whether he is too radical, his people understand that true betrayal would be silence. That to bow again would be the real crime. And so they rally behind him, embracing both the risks and the hope. Because sovereignty is never given freely, it is always wrestled from the grip of those who built systems to keep Africa in chains. Judge Thomas may have his courtroom, foreign commentators may have their columns, but Ibrahim Traoré has the hearts of his people and the weight of history on his side. And when the record of this era is written, it will not be remembered for the accusations of illegitimacy, but for the audacity of a young soldier who stood against empires, who refused to wait, who declared that the future of Burkina Faso would no longer be negotiated in foreign capitals, but decided by Burkina themselves. And that, whether friend or foe likes it or not, is the heavy truth of this revolution.